You're welcome to Good Morning Anambra Show. On this show, we are looking at the debt restructuring for developing countries. And the Global Sovereign Debt Roundtable has met and discussed debt sustainability and debt restructuring challenges and ways to address them. And of course, you know that Nigeria is the fourth most indebted country with about $13 billion debt at June 30th, 2022, and 91 trillion in the quarter under review. However, we have some experts in the studio this morning who are going to help us look at this. What is it about Nigeria debt? And of course, what we stand to gain when this restructuring begins in earnest. In the studio this morning, I have Professor Chris Carlo, who is a lecturer, Department of Economics, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka. Good to have you.
Thank you.
You're welcome to the studio. I also have Daniel Bello, who is a financial expert. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
Bello, are you an Igbo, Yoruba, or Hausa? How come? Let's know your name.
Okay, I am partly Igbo.
Okay.
My maternal state is Delta Igbo.
Okay.
Igbo speaking, and I'm from Ogun State.
Okay.
Yes, I'm from Ogun State, and this is my maternal region.
All right, good to have you. You're welcome to the studio. Now, let's look at, we know that every Nigerian, even a child, know that Nigeria has been borrowing. Let's begin from there. Let me start with you, Prof. What do you have to say about the level of borrowing in Nigeria? Because I equally learned that each individual in Nigeria should be owing about 384,864 naira. At the end of the tenure.
Economically speaking, there is nothing bad with borrowing. Basically, why in development financing, there are three ways we can finance infrastructure deficits. One is what they call ways and means, which is tied to only central bank. Then we have depletion of the Federal Reserve, and borrowing. And again, economically, there are burdens of printing currency or ways and means. It has inflationary tendencies that we are seeing today. And then when we deplete the foreign reserve, we also have some economic burden in the sense that we destroy, so to say, the domestic currency. We destroy the domestic currency. So the only ways practically able for us to finance our development is to borrow. But if we are borrowing basically for investment. We're not borrowing.
We should be borrowing.
Yeah, we should be borrowing.
For investment.
Okay. There is no need for us to borrow. Yes, yes, because there is profit in paying salaries. As and when due, as you pay the salaries, you promote growth, you promote development. But when you borrow the money, you go and buy houses in America. You borrow money, you go and buy yachts. Every one of them has a personal jet. It's only us that doesn't have a personal jet. So you can see that the borrowing has no effect, it has no multiplier effect on the economy. So why the borrowing? We're not saying that borrowing is not good. Borrowing is good because it fills the gap between deficit.
I think it's been increasing over the years.
Yes.
From 1999 till date.
Yes.
It's been, I think as at today, it's at 77 trillion or something.
No, by the end of the administration, yes, it must have gone to that 77 trillion.
Okay.
If they will securitize ways and means, because according to Oneha, the debt management woman.
All right, now I think we have to, we have to really ground this before we go into the restructuring.
Okay.
When we talk about borrowing in Nigeria, does it mean every administration that comes in will inherit the borrowing of previous administration? Because from 1999, we noticed that the thing keeps growing instead of coming down. For instance, maybe I borrow 10 naira today and pay some. It will drop to like 5 naira or 4 naira, and somebody that comes in will start from there, maybe finish the payment, and of course you see yourself not owing anything or little, instead of it mounting from each year. What do you have to say, Bello, about that?
You see, this PNB administration, Buhari administration, borrowing, the height of borrowing, everyday borrowing is alarming. It's alarming. Look at 2022 budget. After transmitting the budget, he sent another one, supplementary budget of 8.19 billion. Supplementary budget. Then after, another issue came up. The finance minister came up to tell us that our budget, that our indebtedness, no, not DMC, Debt Management
Office,
told us that on or before first quarter of 2023, that our indebtedness portfolio will grow to 77 trillion. That is an issue. It's a concern.
Issue of concern.
It is an issue of concern. So, which should be looked at? So, I have issue with this economic team, this administration, this Buhari administration. The economic team.
Do they really have economic team?
According to what we have Zainab Ahmed, we have CBN. So I don't know if they just wake up and come, and introduce whatever they like. Look at what we just finished. We just came out from a cash crunch with controversial issues.
And in today's paper, it's been it's read that 96% of our revenue has been used in servicing debts, since 2022. So I don't know what does that mean?
Sorry, before we go over to this now, you asked a question. Why is the debt
not dropping?
Not dropping.
Yeah.
Now, it's very simple. It's very simple because the recipients are not making efforts, frantic efforts, to dissolve the loan or the credit borrowed. Because this mind of, the next man coming after me will inherit it, is always there. But if they will make attempts to borrow the money, make attempts to invest the money, make attempts to recoup it through investment, there won't be any leftover. So the problem is the recipient of those credits are not doing anything to dissolve it. That is just the thing.
Wait, I want to.
Okay, go on.
How do you expect this recipient to do something, or the country to do something, when the country is getting 4-point-something trillion as revenue, and at the same time they spend 3 trillion? You are making 4 trillion and you are spending 3 trillion on debt servicing. That is on record. It's on record. Reportedly.
That's exactly 96% of the revenue.
So how do you expect them to how do you expect that our indebtedness to diminish, or for us to do something better? What are you going to do with 1 trillion or less than 1 trillion?
It's a clear testament that the money borrowed is not invested in real investment. Because if it is invested in real investment, it has a multiplier effect.
And
is there really investment when we are looking at, where the finance minister currently is talking about How many billion to share to vulnerable Nigerians? That's the one we are being faced now.
Okay, that means that there is no investment. They just borrow the money and they fritter it away through conspicuous consumption.
All right, now on debt restructuring for developing countries, what is that all about? The meeting was actually held on Saturday by the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and all what have you. And I think MFLA was there too.
It should.
So what is it all about? Restructuring for, debt restructuring.
Okay, in a layman's language, Oga, you are owing me both interest and principal. And I've looked at you for some time. You are not paying. And there is no potential in you paying. Oh yeah, come now. Let's look at it again. Let's look at the value. Let's look at the figures. Now, why are you not paying? What are the challenges? Why the money you borrowed, you are not servicing it?
What is your challenge?
What are your challenges? You will now make it open to them. It's just like I went to the bank now and borrowed money. And the bank gave me a tenure of maybe 3 years. To pay off. And after 3 years, I couldn't come. A good credit manager will call me. He said, what is the problem? Why are you not paying? Because it's a liability on me and also a liability on the bank. Because that is depositor's money. So at the end of the day, it's okay. Let's look at it. If you can pay the interest, or you pay now. If you cannot pay the interest, or why not pay the principal? That is it. Or
so that I don't lose.
So that I don't lose. And again, okay, let's bring it down. If I give you 10%, hypothetically, I can reduce it to 8%, 9%, so that you can service your credit. You can service your loan. In a general language, that is restructuring. Looking at the tenor of the loan, the interest of the loan, the principal, and then the duration. If I give you 10 years to offset it, I can say, okay, take 20 more years. That is restructuring in a layman's language.
Okay, and what do you think most of the countries owing, what do you think they stand to gain with this debt restructuring, coming up?
It's a win-win thing for both the borrower and even the lender, IMF and co. It's a win-win thing, but the borrower will benefit more because we are talking about reduction of installment payment, the servicing of loan process, installment reduction, and possibly the interest reduction of this loan. So, and even tenor, and even the tenor. So, is a win-win thing for both the borrower and the lender. However, in the case of Nigeria, I think they shouldn't be swift with Nigeria case because it's a peculiar one.
How do you mean?
Yes, because Nigerians, they should, what I really want them to do is to get experts for us, for our anti-graft agency, EFCC, ICPC, and co, in order to ensure that they are trained and retrained. Because this money, are they actually using it? I mean, the government.
For the purpose?
They discussed development, key projects. Supplementary budget transmitted to National Assembly by Buhari, he said he wants to use it as in for 2022 to complete key projects. They know the key project. No. Look at this Enugu Onitsha Express Road, how it is.
It's being awarded now.
Another abandoned project like that. So we want to know the key projects. We want to know the key projects. So they shouldn't be sweet with the case of Nigeria in restructuring Nigeria loan.
So our own should be.
Yeah, they shouldn't be swift. No. They shouldn't be swift. Let's look at management of fund in Nigeria. Okay. It's a peculiar one.
All right.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Let me. You said what do they stand to benefit?
Yes.
When they restructure the facility. Now, for me, it can come in the form of a relief, although it is not actually a relief. Because there is a difference, hypothetically, no, practically, between a relief and restructuring. But for me now, what do I stand to gain? What do countries stand to gain? It could be a kind of a relief. A relief in the sense that if my principal, okay, if my interest is restructured, so to say, and my tenor is also restructured, it gives me a room to think ahead. Unlike being under, in fact, you that is borrowing, you don't have rest of mind now.
All right, now that this restructuring is coming, do you think it's going to help countries or to make them to continue to borrow? Because I don't know, when you call me for a meeting for us to reason that I've borrowed and I'm not paying back, you know, that you're going to drop some things for me, don't you think it's going to make, you know, countries to keep borrowing instead of working with the already borrowed ones to, you know, develop their nation and, of course, let something start coming in to reduce the borrowing to a certain level? Don't you think so?
I really think so. I want to channel it to organization I work with now.
Okay.
Mainly, we give loan to civil servants, state and federal. We have restructuring cases, you know, individuals loan we give. There are T and C, terms and conditions on restructuring. So we don't just come and restructure loan. No. So you must bring in something. What is your position? For example, want to restructure a loan, you must have make some part payment. You know, you must have serviced your loan to an extent and drop some money, make some deposit, and we'll restructure. What is this restructuring? Basically, reduction of installments in finance. I borrow you 1 million naira as a staff of XYZ company, and your my company borrow you money, and me as your manager, your account officer, and our monthly deduction is, say, 30,500 monthly deduction. And according to your net, you still have money. And we told you that there's room for restructuring and even liquidation before maturity. If you want to liquidate, we'll give you payoff amount, you liquidate. Now, and the room for that restructuring, okay, if you have, since it's 1 million, with tenor of, say, 18 months, you have 200,000 naira, God bless you, you have 200,000, you drop 200,000 naira. Your loan will be restructured. That is basically what it means. We'll reduce the installment payments and also reduce the interest possibly. You know, the modalities from one finance company to the other, as in the process differ anyway. But basically, we are reducing the installments. That is it. So in this case, for Nigeria, of course, they are going there with what they are going to bring in. You don't just expect IMF or World Bank to restructure loan for Nigeria without them bringing in something.
I know they will bring in something, but my question, my argument,
do they have money to bring in?
You know, my argument is that, you know, when they will bring in something, and something will be, you know, they will reduce something for them as well, or cut off, throw away some things. Now, my question is, why is it not going to make them to continue to borrow? Because knowing that tomorrow there could be another restructuring, you know, and
they will continue to borrow. Nigeria will continue to borrow.
But my concern, you know, there is a minus somewhere.
Okay.
Because in 2005, during the time of Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, there was a debt relief. 2005. They applied for debt relief, and it was granted to them. The government of that time was given debt relief as at 2005. So why not plea for debt relief? Why the restructuring? Why the restructuring? You cancel it, like you rightly said, my colleague, put down something. Government will now look at your capacity and capability and do give you a debt relief. so that it becomes, like you said, a win-win issue. But now, why are they not pleading for relief? And why is it not that they have? I read in the newspaper some time ago that they have been applying, but they have been denied debt relief. Why? Because of profiles, in quotes. Unlike in
management.
2005. Yes.
Management now. For management.
Yes. They cannot be given debt relief.
They know.
And what does this pose? What's the challenge? What is it posing to Nigeria as a nation?
It's very simple. That one, our fiscal management is not transparent.
Yes. Transparency.
Yes, our fiscal management is not transparent. Because if it is transparent, and if they are seeing what they are seeing from the fundamentals, they say, "Oh, okay, give me." But they have seen that there's no transparency. Number one, the fundamentals. What are the fundamentals? Economic fundamentals. They're not good enough. Check it. Check the growth rate in 2005. It's almost 7%. Okay. Check it today. Less than 3. Or 3. If they are managing to cook the figures, it's 3%. That means that there is no ripple effect of the credit you are taking into the economy.
All right, the program is Good Morning Anambra, looking at debt restructuring for developing countries. In the studio, I have Daniel Bello and Professor Chris Carlo. We are looking at this issue, but at this point, let's take a short break to bring you the street work. When we return, we will continue to look at what we stand to gain and what we stand to lose as a nation during this debt restructuring for developing countries. Don't go away.
They should not restructure our debts. If you owe somebody money, you go and pay it. If they restructure now, tomorrow will you come to them for more money? If you owe somebody, you pay. If you owe institutions, you pay your debt so that they have confidence in you. Your credit rating will be high. Most nations of the world do owe, but they pay. I remember when Nigeria's debts were restructured under Obasanjo administration. So you want them to keep restructuring for you? If we are not productive as a people, that we cannot pay our debts, we should stop borrowing money, and the lender should stop lending us money. If it's too high, don't take the loan. Why don't you work hard, increase your productivity? We are the least productive people on earth. So how do you pay your debts when you're not productive anyway? So I don't know who in his right mind will want to give us loan. A loan they know we are not going to pay, and a few years down the road, we start asking for restructuring. No, we shouldn't go for loans. We should work hard and be a developed country.
I think there is need for that interest rate to be reduced drastically, because I believe it's contributing negatively to the development of this country. And again, I believe it's part of the indices that is causing inflation. So I believe there's every need for them to reduce that interest rate.
It's not encouraging for Nigeria to continue to borrow. Let us encourage production, our agriculture. Let us go to farm so that we can improve our destiny. If we form the habit of borrowing, there's no way we can make it. People are suffering. We are hungry. And all this money that are being borrowed is for consumption, and it's not fair. It will be work only if they can borrow and invest it in agriculture, to use it to produce more, put into production, and not to consume it. For now, it is not encouraged. The interest is too high, and it's not good at this rate. We continue to service the interest. You use the money to service the loan. What do you gain from it? What do you gain? It is not encouraging. So I discourage it completely. It is not encouraging in Nigeria. So the best for us, let us help the local farmers. Let them go to farm. Let us go think the other way around, into production.
I want you to know that borrowing is not bad. But borrowing to service debt is bad. But if you borrow for investment, to open up development, to open up investment, so that from the investment or whatever that will bring or yield that money back, so that whenever the creditor comes for the interest, you'll be able to pay as at when due. But whereby you are a country like Nigeria, we are good in borrowing to service debt, which is not good. You understand me? They're supposed to be countries. I mean, they're supposed to be companies. They're supposed to establish firms that will help people, to generate that money. Again, they borrow from each country. I will not say, for instance, any other country from Asia, wherever, they are borrowing, because you don't know how they are calculating their own. Yeah, so I would say, if Nigeria as a country intends to borrow again, let it be useful, not to only servicing of debt, so that whenever they will ask to pay back the interest, it will not be so hard. But Nigeria should think of reducing from borrowing.
All right, we've gone to the streets to feel the pulse of the masses concerning debt restructuring for developing countries. And of course, most of the speakers there are of the opinion that borrowing is not bad, but what do you do with the money when you borrow? And the restructuring issue is the bone of contention here. And part of what the Global Sovereign Debt Roundtable met to talk about is they said debt sustainability and debt restructuring challenges and ways to address them. Prof, I don't know, what actually do you think are these challenges and ways to address them as we round off the program?
Okay, talk about debt sustainability. Now, like the public opinion just made us to know, and which is good. Debt itself is not.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. It is a way of financing development. There is no doubt about it. Now, it becomes unsustainable if you don't service it. What do we mean by service it? Paying the interest, paying the principal. As at when due. It's a fiscal responsibility. But when you service it within the time frame that is allowed, it becomes sustainable. You can go again to borrow. It's just a solution to this. Servicing the debt as at when due. So that when I come to you again for credit, for facility, you give me. In that way, the institutions, it could be multilateral institutions, it could be other institutions, can give you facility. But in a situation where you don't service it as at when due, it becomes a problem. Even I doubt the possibility of this restructuring. Our government is not to be trusted.
For Nigeria?
Yes. I am bold to say this. At the end of the day, this restructuring may not come. Why? Because if they restructure it, you are giving them the room to borrow the more, like we have been saying here now. So I'm doubting the possibility of the restructuring. And remember, the people that are calling you for roundtable knows your capacity. They know your capacity. And so for the debt to be sustainable, there must be a limit. Our debt management office must have a limit. Then at the other end, which is the central bank ways and means advances, they should know that printing money to finance debt has a problem. So there should be tight knots on both ends, from the fiscal angle, which is the debt management office, and the management angle, which is the central bank, for the debts to be sustainable.
All right, quickly, the way forward before we leave. You said something before you add to it.
Okay, the way forward, let me, in case we don't know. Months back, PNB transmitted a letter to National Assembly. What is the content? Restructuring CBN 23 trillion naira loan. This is a local, yes, a local debt.
Yes,
23 trillion. Imagine. And they extended the tenure to 40 years at 9%. Local debt, 23 trillion. Anyway, way forward is that we should ensure that our leaders are accountable. It's high time we come out as individuals, as we know, a group of people to start asking questions. Yes. Ask them questions, ask them questions. Yes. And they ensure they act accordingly.
No, asking them questions, would they give you the opportunity?
Compel them to
You can
respond.
see what is happening today. Would they give you the opportunity to ask those questions?
All right, that's just about it on the Good Morning Anambra show today, debt restructuring for developing countries with Daniel Bello and, of course, Professor Chris Carlo in the studio. Restructuring, according to them, that borrowing is not a bad thing, but what you do with the money you have borrowed. And when it comes to restructuring, they are called to a round table. You know, they are called to a round table, of course, to look at the issues and see how they can let go of some of the monies. You know, the producer said we can still go on, that there's still time. All right, now let's see. With this restructuring, you know, you said that you said earlier that Nigerian zone should be kept in the cooler for maybe they look at other people's zone, because our own is a peculiar case.
It's a peculiar
you know,
case.
I want you to expatiate on that. Why do you say that, and what what's about it?
It's obvious. You see, IMF, World Bank, and co, developed countries, G7, they know about. They're on the know. They know what is happening in Nigeria. You see, Nigerians. Okay, Nigerian leaders, our leaders are fantastically corrupt. Yes, they are corrupt. Corruption is the order of the day. Look at the Adamawa election of yesterday, for example. I don't know. You see what transpired? I don't know if you watch. So, we're talking about development, where we have, we should be talking about getting people that we know, people with known pedigree, people as in with integrity into power for a change. We cannot talk about industrialization of Nigeria without with people like the people we have now in this administration now. Yes, with this type of leadership.
You know, I asked earlier that don't you
leadership.
think that the restructuring will make them to continue to borrow? With this, is it 50 billion or 45 billion that they are mapping out to share to vulnerable Nigerians? And somebody was actually asking who benefit from this, or are the vulnerables we have in the nation? And instead of us to look at the way to, you know, bring it down to the barest minimum, the issue of borrowing in the nation, the ones we have, I don't know. Where do we go from here?
Finance minister say they will be disposing 5,000 naira for each house.
It may not even be up to that 5,000.
5,000 per house.
It may.
This is family A, 5,000. Family B, 5,000. Nonsense.
At the end of the day, what happens to the rest of them? They will
who is
pocket
accountable?
it.
How do
they
we
will
know?
Pocket it. Use it to buy house in America.
5,000.
He said there is a problem. There is a problem, and in fact, that problem defies human solution. That for me, because the way we are going in this country, we don't know where we are heading to. How can a country like Nigeria, blessed like this, be a subject of ridicule, be a subject of mockery? The apparatus of government is not functioning. What is functioning in Nigeria? Okay, in 2005, I'm still going back again, there was a debt relief sought after and gotten. The debt was cancelled. Okay, 2005 till now, the debt profile has become so
Look at the
humongous.
surge. I mentioned the surge now from 2005.
Has become
Especially
so
in this administration.
humongous.
Not even from 2005, but from 1999, it's been increasing like that. It is increasing.
No. 2005.
By 2005, there was an exit.
Okay, they cancelled. Okay,
They cancelled it.
And then it started afresh.
Fresh again. And do you know the funny thing? From 1999 to 2005, and from 2005 till date, the money we are owing both multilateral institutions, Paris Club, London's Club, is more than that from 1999 to 2005.
And now with this debt restructuring, do you think that, let me not hold on to what you say that Nigeria oil should be kept in the cooler. Now, do you think that when this restructuring affects us as a people, when Nigeria is restructured debt-wise,
okay,
that something positive will come out from it? For instance, that the loans will begin to drop. Do you think it can happen in Nigeria?
At this point in time, I'm not a prophet of doom. But one, that restructuring may not come to pass.
Why?
Even if it come to pass, it could be a political arrangement. Because at this point in time, we know our leaders. We know what we can do. This is a country where anything can happen at any time.
But the world stakeholders in money matters, they are the ones that met and they are talking about the restructuring.
My dear.
Does it mean they are going to exempt some nations in the course of the debt restructuring?
I don't think they will exempt some nations.
Because they said it's for...
But the but is that Nigeria case, they know Nigeria. They know the corruption, the level of corruption in Nigeria. They know the level of corruption in Nigeria. But I believe, because we have somebody like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala over there.
For credibility. She was given that relief because of credibility.
Credibility. So I think, let's just watch and see. I believe our own will be handled differently.
Separately from what?
How many days is remaining now? How many days to 2029? May 29. How many days? So I don't this restructuring, like I said earlier, I don't want to sound like a prophet of doom. They have been applying for debt relief.
Rejected.
They rejected it. Now, and they think they are very sharp. Our leaders think they are very sharp. That is why they now resorted to restructuring. And believe you me, it will not come.
Are they the ones that opted for it? Is it not? I thought the World Bank and IMF.
Anything can be arranged. Anything can be arranged.
Really?
Of course. Is it not in this country that somebody's passport was cloned? I don't believe in that. Go and mark it. I am not a prophet of doom. If you apply for restructuring on several occasions and they denied you, and you are now applying for restructuring when you have less than a month to go
to leave office,
it cannot happen. These are all subterfuge.
Do you agree to that?
Yes, so. It is. They know they are professionals. Yes, they are professionals. Do you think they believe in this administration?
These are political moves to tell you that you are doing something. You are not doing anything.
Within 8 years, look at the surge in indebtedness.
Look
at how this administration have so much borrowed to finance, just to finance key
and
projects.
And those people lending the money, can't they say no?
Especially China.
Why should I say no?
No, you borrowed
because
me. You've not paid the one you borrowed. If I come to borrow money from you now, I borrowed money. I've not, paid back the one I borrowed, and I come back for another borrowing, and you keep giving me. Does it make sense?
Well, I should give you. I should give you.
You should give me.
As a sovereign nation,
yes.
I may not deny you. I'll give you, but the amount I will give you now may be reduced from what you asked. It's just like me going to bank and I'm a credit worthy of a bank. They can say, okay, instead of you having this amount, I will give you less, but with a higher interest. That could be the reason.
So it can happen, like that?
Yes.
Of course.
Yes, it's happened. Like bringing it down to our finance and commercial bank personal loan.
Yes.
For example, you earn you are a staff of, say, Ministry of Justice, anywhere, and your net balance is 250,000 naira per month, and you are requesting for
6 million.
Okay.
Even if it
6 million, okay, no, 6 million
it's
is
too big.
far. Okay, I'm bringing it down to, say, 500,000 naira for 2 years.
Okay.
Deduction for if I'm to calculate, use 3% from my office, is 35,000.
a month.
A month. 35,000 naira a month for the period of 2 years. You see that this person is, okay, this person is, net is 150. Let me bring it down to 150. So with that balance, 150 minus 35,000 naira, 150 minus 35,000, the person still have
150.
1 and something thousand naira
A month.
balance.
A month now.
1 and something thousand naira.
Okay.
About 115,000 naira.
A month.
Balance. A month. Outside that 35,000. It's still credit worthy. This person can still go to Lagbaja, for example, finance company or bank, and borrow 1 million. They start deducting maybe 60-something thousand. This person can also go to another place or come again and borrow because of that net balance.
Okay.
Till the last, we still have some people that go home with 10,000 naira among civil servants today. That is the case of Nigeria.
And they remember.
That is the case of Nigeria.
And
We still have people that go home at the end of the month. Hey, salary, salary. He knows that he has borrowed and borrowed and borrowed. He's going bank A, bank B, finance companies C and B. And they pay salary, the net. And what is outstanding is 7,000 naira. We have them today. And that is Nigeria case.
Yes, and don't forget, sir, for continuing, don't forget that they present their debt sustainability profile. There's what we call fiscal sustainability.
Yeah, of course.
They will tell you that it's still within threshold of less than 40%. And so when you cook the books and present to the world, they have no choice than to believe you and do the needful. But it is still humongous.
Okay.
7 trillion.
Now, what do you think the World Bank can do with Nigeria at this point? You know, owing by looking at what we are owing already. What do you think will happen?
For me, there should be, if Nigerian government goes to World Bank, IMF, or any of these multilateral institutions for credit or facility, because that is the reason why they were developed in the first place. Development financing is why IMF, World Bank, African Development Bank, China Zim Bank were developed or established in the first place. Now, if I will give you a loan, I don't just give you that loan and go away. I will see to it. My personnel will supervise it and make sure that the loan is utilized. In fact, from time to time, I'll call you for accounts. Give me account of this money, what you have used this money to do. Why are they frittering away this money? Because there is no checks and balances. You bankers do it. When you give somebody a loan, you come intermittently
Of course.
to watch the extent of the usage of the money. But if you give it to a sovereign nation like Nigeria and go to sleep, what do you expect? Especially with leaders who are not trustworthy. We'll be seeing the same thing. So IMF, World Bank, multilateral institutions must make sure that the loan they are giving out, because that is why they are established.
Okay, you are now talking about project finance.
Yes.
So if you are giving Nigeria a loan, going forward, if it's going to be for a project from Kaduna or wherever to, say, Anambra, because here now, this Anambra, no rail project now or something.
No, it doesn't.
The whole of Southeast.
Southeast.
Okay, let us, IMF, we are giving you XYZ amount to finance rail projects in the whole of Southeastern Nigeria, and we'll supervise it directly. So we disburse directly.
Yes, we disburse it.
Disburse directly.
We disburse
To the
it.
contractor.
You
Going forward, that's how it should be for Nigeria.
You give me account.
That's what they should do for Nigeria.
You give me account, monthly account.
Yes.
Monthly account. Whoever is in charge must give account for transparency and accountability.
And now, quickly, before we wrap up, with the denial of the, you said the Nigerians applied for
debt relief.
For debt relief, and it was denied.
Yes.
You know, do you think, like you have acted as a prophet here, do you think that
He acted
you said that Nigeria's issue should be kept in the cooler. Now, do you think we are going to be included in the debt restructuring that is coming up soon for developing countries?
We are going to be included because...
Are we going to be part of it? No, knowing that we've been denied relief, application for debt relief earlier.
Yeah, there is room for renegotiation. Okay. Yes. So we are going to be part of it. Yes, I believe we are going to be part of it. But what I'm looking at now is what I'm expecting from that renegotiation table is has to do with direct financing and direct disbursing of loan if they are going to, go into the renegotiation of giving loan, and this writing off of loan or whatever, this restructuring process, they should look at interest reduction. Yes, reduce interest for Nigeria, or even remove this interest, let it be a non-interest loan for existing debts, and allow Nigeria to just pay no disbursement of new loan for Nigeria.
So I don't see the plausibility and feasibility. I have given my reasons. Today is what? 18th or
17th.
Okay, 17th. So how many days remaining? How many days remaining?
Very short. Less than 30.
Will it be under that condition that the restructuring will hold? Even if it will come, it will not be this
in this administration.
Simple.
All right, and that's just about it on debt restructuring for developing countries. We'd like to thank you so much, Professor Chris Carlo. You are from Department of Economics.
I share Professor Chris Carlo, HOD Economics.
Okay, Nnamdi Azikiwe University.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, ABS.
And our financial expert here, Daniel Bello, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, viewers.
Thank
you. We appreciate it.
All right, and that's just about it on Good Morning Anambra Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Nonye Wokoe. Let's do this again tomorrow. Bye for now.
Thank you, Nonye.